Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the live broadcast today. My name is Natalie Ledwell, and I'm coming to you live from Ojai. I'm actually not in my office today. I'm actually in my authors mastermind group right now, and I'm taking a little bit of time out to come and do this little broadcast for you. So I'm writing a new book at the moment, and I think I've mentioned it in some previous videos. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that, in the broadcast today. So I'm up here in Ojai, which is my favorite place to be writing and to get into my creative juices and to really be able to, have my story unfold. I actually started writing a book last year, got halfway through it, and then had to, recourse or, reimagine where I was going to go with this book. Now, what I'm going to be talking about today is failure. Does it exist? Is there such a thing as failure? And so part of this story is like, well, I half wrote a book and then I've completely changed course now. So, is that a failure? Did something not work the time before? But I'm going to show you how that's not necessarily the case. So if you are here, make sure that you say hi and that you, tell me where you're from so I can give you a little bit of a shout out and make sure that I say hello. Right. So I want to start today with a quote by Denis Waitley. Now, I don't know if you know who Denis Waitley is. He was very famous back in like the 80s and the 90s. And he was like a motivational speaker, but he used to be like a performance coach as well. And he has this, he's a motivational speaker, an author, all that kind of thing. He's an American guy. Hi, Michelle from Utah. Good to see you. You're always here. You're such an avid watcher. I'm so glad that you're here again this afternoon. So this is the quote from Denis Waitley. He says, "Failure should be our teacher, not our undertaker. Failure is delay, not defeat. It's a temporary detour, not a dead end. Failure is something that we can avoid, but only by saying nothing, doing nothing, and being nothing." So I think what he's saying here is that, failure is just part of the course. It's just part of what we do, and depends on how we look at it. Kitty Graham just finished the Law of Attraction 101. Fantastic. She's from Monroe, Washington. Great to see you here, Kitty. Great to say hi there. So we can avoid it by saying nothing, doing nothing, and being nothing. And for me, when I look at failure, I actually very rarely call it failure. Because to me, there's always something to have been learnt. There's some experience that I've learned. There's some new opportunity, or it takes me and like I was saying about my book, just puts me on a different road. So I'm going in a different direction, but now it feels like it's the right direction. So sometimes this is what we perceive failure to be is actually an incredible opportunity. So hi to Heather Byrne. Hi from Melbourne. Hi, how are you? Fantastic. Natalie, hi, is from Quebec in Canada. Good to see you here, Natalie. Thank you. Spelt the French way. Very cool. So I've got 3 tips that I want to share with you today that actually will help you move through failure. Remember, nothing has meaning except for the meaning that we give it. So, which is why when I think about failure, I don't actually think about it as a failure per se, or as in the usual sense of the word. I just look at it and I'm like, okay, well, I needed to course correct, or that wasn't meant to happen that way. So what am I going to learn, or where am I going to go from here? So these 3 tips are going to help you move through these challenging times. Let's call them that from now on. Okay, so number 1, failure can be your teacher. So the really cool thing about being able to, if something doesn't work out, is being able to look at what you actually did, being able to take time to take stock and go, right, what happened here? Let's decompress everything that's happened and figure out, where the wheels fell off, or why this didn't come to fruition, or why this didn't work out the way that I wanted to, and really be able to identify what that is. And every time that happens, what happens is that you then be able to learn more, be more knowledgeable when it comes to business, and for the next time that you attack that. So, for example, Glenn and I, we had 20 different businesses before we, got into My Movies. We had a nightclub for 5 years. We had a coffee franchise, several coffee franchise businesses. We had a health food business. We were developing property. Oh my God, there were so many things. We had the first bathroom advertising company in Australia. Like, none of these things were connected. And we had varying degrees of success in each of these businesses. But from every single business, we learned something. There was some kind of lesson that we learned. We learned more about business because when you have the foundations of how to run a business and then you combine it with, the ability to apply something like the law of attraction and your personal development and goal setting skills, then you've got the recipe for massive success. So when our friend approached us with this idea of setting up the website with the instructions on how to make a My Movie, and we knew nothing about the internet, like Glenn could hardly turn on a computer, and I hadn't even heard of YouTube or MySpace or Facebook or anything. And we had 4 businesses, so we didn't really need another business. But when we said yes to that, the reason we were able to say yes is, number one, we thought, well, with our business skill, we'll be able to apply it to any business, so why not to this? And number two, we kind of recognized it for the opportunity that it was because of all of the experience in the past and from varying different, degrees of success and failure. So you can learn from both of those things. So, failure can be your best friend and your best teacher because it's actually going to teach you how to do it better next time. Okay. Now the next point is failure actually makes you stronger. So not only do we learn what to do differently, but we learn how to be different. So we're actually learning how to show up differently. How can we show up differently to create a different result? Okay, and I think the number one thing that a lot of people will gather when it comes to going through resistance or going through failure is resilience. Being able to go, okay, well, so I think the first time you have a big challenge or a failure, you go, okay, right, you dust yourself off and go, wow, okay, that just happened. My business failed, or I didn't get that job I wanted, or whatever. And you go, well, I'm still here. I'm still alive. And then you move through the emotions of the loss or the grief or the disappointment or whatever that is. And then you get to the other side of that and you go, well, I'm still here. So it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. And so what it does, it helps to really build a lot of resilience for you. So you get thicker skin, you get, when you don't have as much fear when you're moving towards a goal, because you go, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? I remember back in, when Glenn and I, before we had My Movies, when Glenn would come home with an idea about a business, he'd go, what do you think about this? I'm like, yeah, that's great. Why don't we do it? That'd be fantastic. And he goes, no, you're supposed to be the other voice of reason. You're supposed to kind of talk me out of it. And I'm like, but why? What's the worst thing if it doesn't work out, if we fail? What, we lose money, we lose time? We can always make those things up. So I think that when you do fail, and it not only does it make you stronger, but it helps you see that, your worst case scenario isn't as bad as you think it is. And then if you can go through that, and you can, basically go through anything. So then the third point that I want to talk about is that failure is not the end. It's not the end. For so many people, failure can be a brand new beginning. I have a girlfriend here that lives here in Ohio, and she has a story. She has a yurt in her backyard. And maybe it wasn't council approved, but someone found out that she had the yurt there, and now she has to pull it down. And it's very disappointing for her because this is where she writes. She's very creative there. It's not like it's hurting anyone, but technically it's an illegal structure, so she has to take it down. And of course, she was very sad and has been sad and angry for some time for having to do that. But now, because this vacuum has been taken out. Now she's come up with some like really creative, amazing other ways to build other little structures so that she can have like writing camps and writing sleepovers and where women can get together and be really creative. So where one door closes, another one opens. So it's not always the end. And I'm talking about my book, I was writing about, how Glenn and my separation and how we were able to navigate through that with respect and love. And I thought a lot of people could learn from that. So of course I've got about halfway through the book and then I got stuck. And I'm like, wow, I can't get through this. And then I realized that this actually wasn't going to be the subject of the book. The book is more about what it's like to be a woman in middle age and you know, navigating through aging and putting on weight and being single and taking responsibility for my health and my wealth and, you know, looking at life, you know, in a completely different way. And so now that I've been able to write those, and believe me, those chapters I wrote about Glenn and I and our separation, the most therapeutic, the most, cathartic, writing I had. So I don't see it as a loss and I don't see it as a failure. But the thing is, if I hadn't have done that and been able to clear that energy, I wouldn't have been able to see, no, that's not the story, this is the story. This is how I'm going to help a lot more women. This is how I'm going to really help to empower a lot more women. And this is really what my message is. So, I had to go through that to get to this. So failure is very rarely is it ever the end. Normally it's just the catalyst of what you want to go through to be able to, be the person and know what you need to know to be able to go through to what you're really supposed to be doing, even though you didn't realize that that was what you were supposed to be doing in the first place. See? So failure is not always the end. It's sometimes the beginning. And the thing is, the other thing we want to make sure is that we don't stay in the failure. Because I think what happens is people go, okay, well, that's it. I failed. Maybe it's a business or whatever that is. So the first thing we go through is like, oh, we don't want to tell our friends. And then you have to face your family and then your friends. And then you get the whole, I told you so. And I never thought it was going to work. And I'm so glad that you're not doing that. It was just way too risky. What people tell you, the people that love you the most to try and keep you safe. Because a lot of the times when you're stepping outside of your comfort zone and you're really challenging yourself, you're kind of challenging them as well, because they're like, wait a minute, but you being successful just shows me how much I'm not successful. Or they were genuinely really scared for you because, they could never step outside their comfort zone and they want to keep you safe and they really have great intentions. So once you get past the having to admit to everyone that it didn't work out, then what a lot of people do is they end up staying in that energy. They go, well, I'm not going to try anything again. I stepped outside my comfort zone once, but why would I ever do that again? Because I failed. You failed once? I mean, look at someone like Sir Richard Branson. Look at the amount of times, he has some wildly successful businesses and he's had some wildly successful, wild failures as well. And look at Virgin Coke. I mean, he lost a packet on that. But it doesn't mean that it stops him from looking at new ventures and moving forward. And of course, I can bet you $1,000 that he learned quite a few lessons from that venture. Having one failure or having one thing that disappoints you is not a reason to stop in your tracks and not a reason to ever step outside your comfort zone again. It's actually all it does. What we want to do is use that as a vehicle to be able to learn more and expand more and to be more. So that we can move into something even bigger and greater. And when I look at my life and all the amazing things that have happened to me in my life, all the things that have come to fruition for me have never really happened the way that I thought they were going to. And everything seems to have led to the next thing. Like with my movies, believe me, if someone had said to me the day before, our friend approached us with the idea of setting up the website, for my movies, that we were going to create this incredible life and I was going to do it through the internet, I would have laughed at them because I'm like, I don't know anything about the internet. How could I possibly do that? But when I look at the life that I wanted to create and how I wanted to travel the world and help people and be financially successful and really make a difference and really feel like I was living my purpose, I actually wrote those affirmations before we started with the My Movies business. And then a year later, I remember finding them again and going, oh, wow, I had no idea that this would have been the vehicle. So it never shows up the way that you want to. And of course, it's always expanding as well. With My Movies, as you know, when we're doing our launch, our whole reality was screaming at us that this was not going to work. And but our mantra was that failure was not an option. We could not afford to fail. Otherwise, we would have lost everything. So for us, it was really important that we keep moving forward. And every time we had a challenge come up, it was like, okay, there's more than one solution to this. How do we move through this? Because failure is not an option. We have to keep moving. Another tip I was to leave you with anything else, it would be to really reframe either what you perceive failure to be, because if you can say the word failure and then in your mind think opportunity or learning opportunity or chance to grow, then that's great. If not, change your terminology. And like I said, failures I normally call challenges, because it's, for me, it's like, oh, this little stumbling block. I wasn't expecting this. Okay, dust myself off. Okay, what's the next track? What are we doing next? And if you're always looking forward, even when something that you perceive to be negative happens to you, as long as you give it a positive meaning. Remember, nothing has meaning except the meaning we give it, which is what I said earlier in the video. So if you give a positive meaning to that event, then that doesn't slow down your momentum. That keeps you in flow and you can keep moving forward. Okay. Michelle's going, it takes courage to step into a new person. Yes. And failure is growth. That is exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. So guys, I want to thank you for joining me today. It's been an awesome show. I want to also let you know that we are giving away, what am I giving away? A 13-minute exercise. A 30-minute exercise, but that basically exposes the real reason that that you're sabotaging yourself and what's holding you back. It's, what am I doing? Oh, it's a free mini ebook. Oh, that's right. So I've got the 30-minute exercise. I'm sorry, guys. 30-minute exercise that I'm giving away to really get to the bottom of what's holding you back. It's 13 minutes, so it's actually quite comprehensive and more than what we normally do. So I really highly recommend, if you haven't done it yet, that you click on the link that's going to be coming through soon, so that you are able to take that, do the 30-minute exercise, and make sure you spend some time, like put aside some time so that you can really give it all that you need, so we can really get to the bottom of that. We're also going to give you a little mini ebook. It's a PDF that actually contains my 7 most favorite morning rituals. These are the ways that I start my day to keep me on track. It's the foundation for everything, and it really keeps me in a really positive line. So, so click on the link when it comes in. Kitty's saying thank you. Oh, great. I'm glad that my message was timely for you today. So, guys, have a fabulous, fabulous weekend. And I will look forward to speaking to you next week. I hope the sun is shining where you are, and that and all is good. All right, guys. Bye for now.